Okay, so to start off with, I'm just going to actually select the head, press Control 1 to isolate it from everything else, and let's just have a look at our UV map and work our way across. Now again, when we're working with this, we want to sort of pick where we want our seam. So because it's character's wearing a hood and we're going to see it, I'm actually thinking the best seam will be back here. But I want the sort of face, obviously not to be distorted like this, and to go around. So let's first put in a cylinder unwrap and see how we go with that. It's not looking too bad, but we're still seeing a bit of distortion here with some of these as well. So I'm just going to see if we can't fix that with the unfold. Alright, that's looking a little bit better now. So if we pull this out here, again, I still want to be able to tell as well, like what each of the pieces are. So as much as I want things seamless, I also want to be able to make sense of them. So I'm just going to go here, and instead we'll just go with a planar to start with. Cool, and that's the front of the face there. And then let's grab these side pieces here. And then we're going to go to UV, planar, select options, and selecting the axis that it's on. So you can see the red arrows coming out there. That is the x-axis, so that's the one I'm picking. And now, okay, so the reason it's doing that is because I have best plane selected, and I don't want that. I actually just want bounding box. Cool. Alright, so that is there as well. So let's move that up, scale it down to that side. And then let's select UV shell and then select the other one, because I selected both of them. They're over the top of each other, and I want to do that to make sure they're the exact same size, but I still need to separate them. I can't have them over the top of each other. So now we're just going to flip this horizontally there. If I wanted to flip it vertically, I'd have to go into the options and change that. Cool, so I've got the face there, and this is good because this is how I'll do the mask as well. And so now we've just got to get the rest of this. So I could just do a cylinder unwrap for that if I wanted to. And I'm just going to flip the cylinder because it's not oriented right. So when I come over here, I can flip that on the x-axis at 90 degrees. Actually the z-axis at 90 degrees, because that's better, because it needs to go around this way. Okay, but again, I think that's going to be, we're still going to get a bit of distortion here on these parts. We won't see it so much when it's smooth, but because we need to keep this low poly, we're going to have to go like this. So it's going to take a bit, but that's okay. Main thing of this is just to make sure that there's no overlapping and that all the faces have been UV unwrapped, and that there's no stretching of the sort of pixels. You can see here it's a bit of distortion. If we apply texture to that, we're going to see that same distortion. We don't want to see that. So planar, z-axis, apply. Again, this shape is actually quite hard because there are a few non-planar faces. They will come out when we sort of subdivide and smooth it. So I might do that for just this particular shape, but we'll see how we go. I just want to UV unwrap it first, because if we UV unwrap it, we can then smooth it as well, and it still stays UV unwrapped. So that's, you know, an advantage is UV unwrapping it at low poly is a lot easier, because then you don't have as many faces to work with, but you're still doing the exact same job. So it's going to end up a bit like our cube mat sort of does anyway. Because this is underneath, I'm not going to really need that to line up, so I'm just going to put that there, and we'll go like that. And that will make sense when I'm sort of putting it together, but what I'm going to do is shrink it up and put it into this first square over here, and I might put the hood over the sides of things and the mask in this same spot as well, just so that the head is all represented by this grid, torso in this one, legs in these ones, arms in these ones, and so forth. Cool. So I'm going to press Control 1 again to bring this back up. Let's press Control 1 to bring this up. This one I actually think I can get away with a cylinder, so let's just give that a try again and see how we go with that. Alright, maybe not. Maybe it'll just be these sort of faces here, and then we'll grab that top one later. So UV, cylindrical. Awesome, that's not looking too bad there at all. There's a bit of distortion here, but I reckon if we go modify unfold. That will fix that. Yep, that's nice. Excellent. I'm glad that unfold tool works in some cases. Cool, so we'll put that down there and up here, so that sort of sits in the corner with the face, because it's just going to be one solid color that's going to be transparent, so I'm not too worried about it. And for that part there, we're just going to go planar y-axis and just put it inside here where it should sit. Cool. All right, so that's there. Press Control 1, so those two are done. And now the hood. The hood's going to be quite challenging, I think, especially because I do actually want the texture on this to look quite good. So I will need to be strategic about how I UV unwrap this. I could have the seam down the center there and just hide it with a design. I think I might do that. But yeah, I really want this back to look good, so I don't want to take it as a planar from the side because that'll stretch these. So let's just start with a cylindrical, and then let's start thinking. See, I don't want that distortion on the top there, but let's cut that by going planar. And you'll see there's two because there's inside faces for this hood, so it's going to make it extra challenging, but it's just how we'll have to go. I'm just going to cut these so we can separate the inside faces from the outside ones. So I'm selecting all these edges that go around the edge here. So that should select all of those. And I'm going to go cut. And now I should end up with two faces here. One that's there and one that's there. Excellent. All right. And I'm just going to move this shell. So the reason this is in two parts is that those are two separate parts there. And the way the cylinder unwrappers worked is it sort of grabbed that and moved it. So I'm just going to sew these back together like that. Cool. All right, that's not too bad actually on the side. There's a bit of distortion, but I reckon we could get around that with the unfold. And we might even be able to get that sewn back on there, but we'll have to see. There's these interior ones here that are a little bit sketch, and I think we're going to have to cut up through the middle here. The inside face is not going to matter too much because we're not going to see too much of it. So I'm actually just going to cut this in half here. Let's go cut, and that should give us a bit of space here. So this is now coming up like a bit of fabric, and yeah, it's a bit like doing the ironing or, you know, doing a bit of mending with different tools and stuff for different clothes. You're sort of trying to put things back together again. Keeping in mind that the reason we sort of get distortion on here sometimes is because the edges are being sewn up. So you've got to sort of sew them back together and then see how they look, and then sort of take it from there and think, okay, is this making it better or worse? But again, because we're not going to see too much of the inside of this hood, I'm not too worried about it, as long as there's no overlap and everything has been unwrapped. I am happy with that. Cool. Excellent. All right, well, let's move them up here inside. This is sort of more of the outside. Just want to see if we can connect this top part here with this part, because if we can, that's awesome. So those are supposed to be the top part there. So let's rotate and rotate, and let's check our edges. Yep. So we could do that. And that will allow it, so when we're looking at it from behind, it all looks okay. So let's see how this unfolds. And see, I really hate that sort of distortion at the end there. Like this face in particular, it's just not great. And I know that like when we smooth it, it won't be as bad, like you can see here. This is what I mean about when you UV unwrap something in low poly, it tends to carry over to the other side as well. It's like, this can work. Sort of, you know, but actually looking at the design, there's like this blue line that goes across here, and I'm thinking that that's going to be the line that we're actually going to cut it, and then we'll use that blue line to hide that seam. So if we go ahead and cut it there, and then move this aside, now when we unfold these, they'll have a bit more room to do that. You can sort of see there, it sort of splits them apart like so. Might make it a bit harder to texture, but it will sort of put it there. Yeah, the distortion's not too bad. The real problem with all of this is the fact that it's only going to look good when it's subdivided, and I don't think we're going to have the poly count to do that. But I might actually just leave those two together, and we'll see how that looks later on. We might have to just sort of subdivide the hood, but we'll see how many polys we have left over. We'll have that as an option there, in there, and if we can get it, awesome. If not, yeah, well, it's just something we're going to have to live with. Okay, so I'm going to shrink those down now. I'm going to press Control 1 to bring back everything. I'm going to select the face. And where is that gone? Because we just UV unwrapped that at the start. What's going on here? Now the way I made this hood is I took parts of the face, duplicated them, and then UV unwrapped it. So I'm wondering if now that I've done that, that the UV unwrap's not registering with that head, because I've got a few things here, but they seem to all be the UV, so that doesn't seem to be the reason. So what's going on? Where has that UV gone? And please do not tell me that there's more. No, there's just one UV set. So it hasn't accidentally. Sometimes it'll go here. You can select create new UV sets and everything, and that's a pain in the ass. This is weird. I'm sorry, guys. This is weird because this hasn't happened before. But it's just gonna have to be a thing. Okay, so I'm just gonna try something. I'm just gonna do something terrible. I'm gonna go automatic UV unwrap. What is going on? Okay. Sure. Alright. Okay, so I'm gonna undo that. That was this button over here for some reason. Isolate selected. Maybe because we're using the isolation tool. Really? But no, because it's... Okay, no, here we go. So it's the isolate tool. Okay, so there's this button up here. It seems to isolate the selected. Okay. Well, that's a relief. I was worried that we were going to have to re-UV unwrap the head. I was not looking forward to that. I'm not going to lie. So as I said before, I'm just going to put the hood here. I might actually put it out here just because it's got a design on it. I might need a bit more space than just that, and I can put the arms here. This I can put down here though, because it's literally just going to be one color, and that's that blue color there with some transparency to it, so I'm not going to lose too much space to that. Okay, so that was a bit of a mess, but we got there in the end. I'm going to end up this video now, having just done all those, and then we'll start moving on to the chest and chest plate here. So cool, catch you then.